Hi, welcome back to another edition of Garage Studio Modelers. I'm Dave Forrest and my good friend
Harvey Lowe.
And in today's episode, we're finishing off the Stug.
Stug. A Stug.
Stug?
This is Stug.
Stug?
How do you pronounce that in German?
Stimmgeschütz.
Sturm. So Stug.
So there's really no relationship.
It's like
nothing you can derive from Stimmgeschütz, the Stug or Stug.
Right.
Stug.
Beautiful work, Dave.
Thank you. Yeah, it was kind of fighting me for a while.
How so?
Apathy.
Well, okay. All right. Let's. I thought you were talking fighting for a technique.
No. I just summer.
Really?
I just hit a bit of a rut. I just lost interest in it.
Do you build like I build all year? I don't lose interest at all.
Lose.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in the summer, you'd sit outside and barbecue.
Well, I don't know what it is.
Huh.
Because there's nothing. Because I usually model at night.
Okay.
Right, so like in the evening,
Yeah.
after Carolyn goes to bed,
Yes.
9 o'clock to like a couple hours at the bench, 9 to 11 or so. But yeah, I don't know.
Really?
I hit a rut. I couldn't get interested. I wasn't
lucky.
I kind of lost interest in.
Well, you brought it back. Look.
Yeah, now I'm back.
Because I've been seeing you.
Lack of vitamin D. I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
You know, I build a lot, and that's pretty well all I do now. And I think
you're amazing.
Oh,
your discipline. I can't.
You know, my longest bench time, 14 hours. But I have YouTube sitting there playing like historical.
I can't.
14 hours.
I think maybe 3 or 4 hours for me
Well,
with breaks and interruptions and distractions. I think once when I was building for a show,
Right.
I think I spent a lot of time.
Although I haven't partaken of the generous offers of some of our local guys. I know IP Miss Ottawa and Glenn does it. IP Miss Hamilton through Alan. They do these like sessions where you're on a camera. I haven't done those yet. I don't know how I'd react because I'm just sanding. But I certainly enjoy just
Doing like a group build.
Yeah, online, probably through Zoom. I haven't done it yet, but I will. I promise. Guys.
Well, how quick is that?
Well, they'd have it running for like Glenn has his running for like the whole weekend, like an Easter build, stuff like that. Like
a live stream.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. I don't know how well I'd react to that because what you're building, you're talking, the camera's on. I mean, I'm sure it'd be fun. I haven't done that yet though, but one day I will.
Like a Great British Bake Off.
Bake Off, yeah.
But this takes time.
It does. And now, how long would you say?
How riveting is it to watch somebody?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Sand.
Yeah.
The wheel.
Kudos to the guys. I haven't tried it yet, but
I guess. I mean, I've seen where they do. Hey, I'm going to do like a 48-hour.
Yeah,
slam
a speed
together.
build. Sure.
And they're just posting pictures.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
The progress. So that's kind of. But I don't know. I just don't.
How long did it take you to do that? Would you say if you put all the hours together, or a couple?
Question. I started. It's funny. I started off 2023 with a bang. I slammed 4 out in like 3 months.
Wow.
And then it took me the better part of the next 4 months to do one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this one really, the whitewash kicks.
Thank you.
I think when I'm watching you, maybe this one taking you maybe 3 weeks, ish. That's pretty fast.
It's a solid 3 weeks. Like you're working at it.
Solid 3 weeks.
6 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Probably easily.
But there's a lot of depth to that.
Over 4 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes like I'm the type of person. So if I get stuck on something, I ruminate about it. I just got to walk away and I just kind of think about it, and then I don't think about it, and then maybe I distract myself with another project. Like I started a few other projects, which are even in far less of a finished state than this thing is. And then all of a sudden, the answer comes to me. Right. It's just very random. Like some people are very methodical. You strike me as one of those people, right? You just work through an issue. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. Very, very structured. I'm very random.
Really?
Yeah. It just sits with me and then boom, like poop out an answer.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about your professional career because that's your business. But the business you do during the really,
Same. I think it's just the way I'm wired.
I don't know. You don't seem.
I mean, after a while.
Yeah.
You see things like the same problem, same type of problem. You say, okay, well, here's what you do. But when you get stuck with something new, you're like, how do I handle this?
It's true. Model building does have problem solving, right? Which kind of makes it fun. Just quickly, one time I'm working on a diagram of a ship in a harbor, big ship, and it's on a tilt, right?
Oh, is this that anti-aircraft?
It's one of these shelf queens. And so I thought, all right, I got to put it on. I'm on a acrylic, the water. The epoxy water tilted and leaning. And I thought, well, how do I cut the hull? I said, well, I could put a tape measure. And then one day I'm sitting there looking at this cup in a sink, and it's got this, you know how the coffee stain on it?
Oh, like a tire?
Yeah. So then I filled a tub of with ink in it. And I put the hull, this big, it's 350. I put the hull in the tub with the ink, and it tilted to the way I want. Guess what? The ink line shows up
and exactly. And that's what you use to cut.
And you cut the line.
How'd you cut it?
With a motor tool, Dremel motor tool.
Very good.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's...
Ponder about the important things in life.
So,
okay.
Back to this.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's pretty much done. All there is just a little bit of stowage and extra track armor and things like that. So we'll put that on.
Okay.
And then, so the reason I have this out is because I love... So one of the things I was absolutely terrible at doing, and I want to get good at doing, or I guess I'm still kind of terrible at doing it, is painting fabric. Like whether it's on a figure, like we'll get the we'll put figures aside for a minute. But like here, like you've got it, and then when you have stowage and tarps and stuff like that, right? So I'm trying to figure out how you do that. And I find, watching the Night Shift and what he does in terms of, so I find that's a very easy, simple tactic to use, and I use the acrylics and they dry fairly quickly. So I'll go over the gray, like there's two tarps on kind of the mantle of the gun here. So I'll go over the gray tarp. I've already kind of finished the green one. Okay. And I've used just colors from the set, and really just two colors, like a base color and a light color, and you just kind of blend, and you get to that. And it's not, I mean, is it the best out there? No. But is it good enough for my purposes for this? I think so.
Yeah, right? Yeah, as long as it's got depth.
Yeah, right? Yeah, as long as it shows something, right?
Like I do know that's the figure guys. You get these big shows in Philadelphia, Chicago.
Yeah, it's
right?
amazing, otherworldly.
It is, and I've heard that some of those guys say that you've at least got to have several. If you're going to be in the running for that type of shading, you've got to have like three up and three. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just one or two, but you look at that. The figure itself is the masterpiece.
It's a work. Yeah.
For these, I'm like you. I just want enough to get the accessory going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll never finish it.
Well, and it's something you like anything. Yeah. The more you do, the better you get.
That's very true.
Right? Like it's just practice. Like it's I read somewhere. It takes 100 hours to get good at something. It takes, 2,000 hours to get great at it.
It's true. And I think that the more you do, the faster you get.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I find with an airbrush now, doing tight pattern lines, which I love doing, it's just so quick for me. But then if you don't do it, it's kind of hard getting back into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you do something and you step away from it, it takes a little bit to get back into the rhythm. For sure.
This one sure looks great. The depth in the whitewash is fabulous. So you're going to use these on the cover. Yeah.
So just a couple of there's two grays, like a base Panzer field green gray, and a lighter color.
Now I've noticed that this. I was just talking to you just before we started here. This brand, you said they do other uniform sets. So in other words, like they're all the range of colors is already in the box. Yeah. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's almost paint by numbers. Wow. Yeah.
I have never used them.
They're great, and they dry matte. They work well. The secret though, and I'll show you when we do it, is to put a little bit of detergent or like dish soap to break the water tension.
Really?
Yeah.
I use that on airbrushing tight camo patterns. A couple of drops of dish liquid in the paint. So that does it for this too. I will try it.
For when you're using, like if you're using lacquer paints or not, like you have to worry about it because
that's cool.
Tension is taken care of. But yeah, for water, because water has natural tension, right? So
very nice.
So we'll do that. But that's really the only kind of live. The rest of it will be just gluing stuff on, right? Gluing the extra track armor and whatnot.
Looks great.
And then we'll talk a little bit about how I did some of the stowage, and whatnot. So we'll get into it and go through the details and wrap this baby up. Okay, so let's start gluing some stuff on here. So I've left some of the stowage off. So I've got a little bucket that the crew would use for the whitewash. Which we'll put on the back. We'll kind of hang it off one of the track holders at the back. I've got a long section of track that I built up that will go on the back. And I've got two pieces of track And I use the, I think I talked about this in the previous episode. I use the model casting tracks, the workable tracks, because the detail is just so good.
Are those metal?
No, plastic. Old-fashioned plastic. And then another piece of stowage. This is from Value Gear. And then another piece of stowage with a German helmet that I did a bit of whitewash on from Value Gear.
On the tracks, Dave, you've been using any of the new 3D print tracks?
Yeah. I don't, not on this model, but on my Tiger that I'm doing, I've got the three on the, like but have some spare tracks, links on the side, on the sides of the turret. So I use the T-Rex track. They're gorgeous.
Have you used a full set yet?
Not a full set, no.
Not yet.
So I've only used this for, and the reason why I use this is there's enough spare links so that if I want to use runs on an actual vehicle, I have enough spare links, and B, the detail is so fantastic because they're hollow all the way through, or at least at the ends.
Yeah, so you can see the.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about drilling at the ends or whatever. So they're just for spare tracks. It's almost a shame to use them as running gear because you're going to cover them with mud and stuff. You're going to lose a lot of that detail.
I only ask because Fruhl's now going out of business, right? And they're metal tracks, but I find that pinning those Fruhl tracks was always very tedious.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering with the 3D tracks how well it would work pinning or.
There's apparently they're very easy.
Okay.
Like just ping, like you just.
I just think they're very brittle, but I'll try it. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. I have I have a drawer full of Fruhl tracks. That, like I'll use Fruhl tracks in the Tiger.
Yes, right.
But they don't compare to the detail. Like if you're putting a lot of mud on them, Fruhl tracks is probably the way to go. They have a nice weight to it.
Yeah, they do have
which
weight.
is kind of that. Okay, so the first thing we'll do here is, so I've got this hammer, and what I'm going to do. As I saw this in a photo somewhere, is I'm just going to take this hammer and just put it in the back like that. Now the challenge is I've got to glue it so that it stays kind of fixed, and I'm trying to debate what's the best way of gluing this, and I think the best way is simply to put a dab of glue on the bottom and just have it stick to the rear plate. So I use there's another product. So VMS. So they have a range of glues that are actually pretty good. And what makes them, I think, a little bit better. So I'm still working with them, but I think what makes them a little bit better is that they stick. There's more aggressiveness to the bond. Not as brittle as some of the other glues. So it's almost, they call it flexi, and I think it's because there's a little bit of...
what's it, a white glue?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's like a super glue. Like
it's a super glue.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach and grab.
Yeah, grab
look
that.
At this.
So I just did a little tip, and I'm just going
glue,
to insert this.
It says for 3D modeling, I presume.
Yeah, that's what more. I guess it's engineered for 3D parts. No, is that sticking? Let's see if I can get that right there. I think it's right. Yeah. So let's see how that looks. Yeah. So it's a nice little detail. So this hammer was a part that I salvaged from the kit. And the kit comes with the clamps molded on. So I cut off the clamp, sanded it down, and just inserted it in the back. And much like I did with the nipper, or I guess the cable cutters or wire cutters or whatever you want to call these here. The cutters here on the side where I just put them through a loop. Just something different, right? Because again, maybe the crew salvaged this from another vehicle.
I see. Yeah.
Right, just to make it. And then the other thing I did is I used 3D clamps for the tow cables, and I just ran. So instead of running it through how they recommend you do it, like they have a couple of holders here, I just kind of strung it all the way through and had it come down, and then the other cable's just missing.
How do you cut the 3D cables off their gates? Do you saw them, or because they're brittle?
Depends. Yeah, they're brittle. Sometimes you can just twist them off.
Oh, okay.
And then other time, like sawing is probably the safe. Like you don't use a nipper.
Right. That's not right.
Break it.
You'll break it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Be very careful with that. Okay. So the next thing we'll do is we'll glue this piece of stowage. So I've already kind of pre-planned where the stowage is going. So I've got the kind of the red box here. I'm going to put this little guy in the middle here, and this guy will sit over here. So all I do is I just take a bit of glue, and the same, and I just put a little bit underneath, like so, and then I drop it on the vehicle very carefully, like that, and then that will not go anywhere. Like so. So we'll let that dry, and then that'll stay on the vehicle, so it's not going to go anywhere. And then the other thing we'll do, while that's drying, and I'm moving fairly quickly here because I've already planned where I'm putting all of this stuff.
Do you like, when you put your stowage, do you place it first before you even paint it just to see where it goes?
Yeah, right, absolutely, 100%. Right. Yeah, because you got to make sure everything fits, right?
Right.
So now let's do one of the really nice features of this particular vehicle is going to be the spare track that's going to sit on the front, like so. Like that. Let's try this one over here. This one, let's move these around. So one has slightly more whitewash on it than the other. And again, these are the same tracks. So I'm going to use the same glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit, and you don't need much, which is the nice thing about this glue, is you just need a little bit. And then I'll put that on the front, like so. And it just sticks. Like it's great.
You could probably use accelerator on that stuff, eh? Or have you tried yet?
Not with the paint on it.
I do.
Do you?
Yes.
That's very irresponsible.
No. I use it all the time.
Do you?
Paint. Yeah.
And it doesn't affect the
nothing.
paint? Really?
Never. No. Zero. Nada. No.
You're courageous.
No.
That's what you are.
But then again, my models get very dirty from weathering, so even if it had something, but I've never noticed it changes.
Airplanes never weathered that much. Eh?
No aircraft. No, absolutely not.
That's a running joke between Harvey and I.
Yes. Dave and I like dirty aircraft. Right, Dave?
The dirtier the better. Yeah. I think that's the next frontier, as it were.
I think so. For especially for aircraft. I mean, it's not. I find weathering aircraft more difficult than weathering armor. If you were doing something really dirty, like a Guadalcanal piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't be that heavy. They're more subtler, but they're really dirty. Especially like we're talking about Spitfires at Malta, Hurricanes at Malta, Wildcats at Guadalcanal, Zeros at Buna. Right. The list goes on.
Yeah. Like that's what sort of attracts me to that Wildcat.
Yeah.
Like Guadalcanal Wildcat.
Yeah.
They would have been really the same thing with the Malta Spitfires, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about that this weekend. So now I'm going to glue the bucket. Now there's a couple of chips where for the handle, the brass is kind of showing through, but we'll fix that after it's on. So all I'm going to do is just put a little bit. So I'm going to hang it on like this. So I'm just going to put a little bit underneath here, and when I drop it down, and just secure it like that. And adding these things, like these little features, it's just another way of adding a little bit of interest and detail to the model. Like Dave Brown always says, the more you can keep somebody's eye on it, you're telling more of a story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the last part will be putting these guys on. I'm not sure how to do these. Like so. So they're a little bit. So I got to figure out what's the best way of gluing these on, and I think the best way is what? What is the best way of gluing these on? I think just a little bit of glue. Now again, if there's if there's a bit of a shiny spot from the glue, you can just go hit that with some matte later and it'll disappear.
Does this glue allow any setting time, or is it pretty instant?
It's pretty quick, which is nice.
I do like epoxy 5 minutes still, for if you want time to adjust.
Yeah.
But come to think of it, I have not yet come across a 5-minute epoxy that's already pre-mixed. It's all using 2 tubes.
Yeah, so I just kind of figured this out on the fly here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue at the bottom, because that way when I slide it down, it's not going to smear and drag the glue. It's just at the bottom and that'll form.
So you're figuring it out on camera now, is that it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't rehearse this. Well, I rehearsed where I was putting everything. I just didn't think about where I was going to put it.
Well, if you enter in a contest and it's crooked, you're cooked. I'm just saying. So you better get it right.
No, better not muck it up.
No stress.
There we go. And again, the nice thing about this glue is you just need a tiny bit. And it does the trick.
While you're doing that, Dave, I'm looking at your collection. I think you have too many models. Way too many.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I only have 5 in my collection.
But you know what it is? It's the possibility. It's the options.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, for sure.
I may want to do this one day.
Yes.
I want to have that option close by. So we'll let that dry, but...
How's it look?
Looks good.
It's hard to see from here.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right?
It adds,
Yeah.
It certainly adds.
And then the last bit is just to glue this guy, so I'm just going to wedge him in here. So he fits perfectly. And then all we're going to do is just take a little bit of glue. Right on the bottom. Like so. And down he goes. Done.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it does make sense to pre-plan where the stowage goes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then your glue, it's crooked, it doesn't look right. Yeah.
So, while all that stuff's drying, let's work on just doing a little bit of the gray tarp. And then I'll talk about... So the only thing that's missing on this is a machine gun, an MG.
Right.
An MG34, but I've got a couple of options. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's put that aside. I like to reuse my toothpicks wherever possible. Okay, so I got some water. I've got a little paint palette. I'm going to take a little bit of water. And usually I like to use warm or hot water. Now you see when I put it in here, you can see how the surface tension just kind of... Right? So all I do is I have a little paint thing of dish soap.
Regular dish soap.
Any dish soap, yeah. As long as it does, and soap really just breaks the tension. And I just swirl it around, and your tension is gone. You just need, you don't even have to squirt anything in.
You mean your metal tension or the... Oh, the paint tension. I'm sorry.
Well, that tension too. It's not as easy to deal with as the paint. And then I just take these sets. I mean, you can buy these individually, but
that's cool.
But I just find
the fact that you don't have to mix colors for the highlights and is kind of cool.
Yeah. So I use the field gray base for gray uniform for the base color, and then there's a kind of a blue gray highlight.
Now, you know how some of the guys use a wet palette. You're not using a wet palette now.
Nah. No. I mean, I could. I have a wet palette.
Yeah.
I use it rarely.
Okay.
And you just need, for what we're doing here, you just need the tiniest bit of paint. Let me just shake that up a bit. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go after and it's you need to use a good brush for this. And then what I do is I just pick up a little bit of water, a little bit of the base color, and highlight color, and I get something that's kind of in between. Now I'm going to go a little bit lighter because this is kind of a final highlight color. But you can see it's like a thin mix. Right? It's like
yeah, you
very
get
thin.
the excess off of a paper towel.
Oh, thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit
What are you doing now? The highlights?
just the highlights, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just going to hit very, and you can see it's just, I'm just kind of dabbing it on, very translucent. So you're just kind of building this up. Very easy to do. And because you're building it up in light layers, you can, you can kind of take your time with it. You're going to add a little bit more of the lighter color, a little bit more of the water. And you kind of do like a wet blending. Cat hair gets everywhere. And that's it. Like, that's how easy this is. And you just do this a few different times. And I'll kind of go with straight highlight color. So you're just kind of building up the color very gradually. You're kind of hitting the raised areas. Again, this is something that with practice you'll get better and better at. Like anything. But that's it. That's all you have to do. I'm just going to hit this because it's kind of a... But I'm not being terribly precise with the application of paint. And then if you find, hey, I've kind of made a mistake, then you just pick up some of the base color. And you make a glaze and you correct your mistake. Like I'm doing here. So it's a very easy way that allows you to go back and forth. And I'm just kind of blending this part in here. And it dries nice and matte. Go back and pick up some of the highlight color. So I'm just going back and forth. So that might be a bit too light, but not to worry. I'll just go back and fix it. So you have a little bit, I mean, you don't have the same, obviously the same working time as you would have with oils, but you have a little bit of working time. And then you can blend it long enough, blend that back in. Get some more of the dark color. Right, I'm going to fix that. Very easy. And that's all there is. I mean, that's as simple as it is. And she's done. The only thing I need to do now is build a base for it and the machine gun, which I should talk about very quickly. So, obviously the kit comes with a machine gun. It's pretty detailed, pretty nice. But I had, in my stash, I had one of these... I don't know where this is from. I picked this up at a show.
What's that do?
It's like a resin. Here, let's get this out of the way. Don't cause any trouble. Get these out of the way. This out of the way.
Looks complete. Looks great.
Thank you, sir.
Likes the snow effect.
Yeah, the first time I do.
Yeah, it looks good.
First time I do it. But we have, this nice resin machine gun option, which is like a small kit in and of itself. Or you can get a really nice 3D printed option from Gas Patch. And these are gorgeous.
Yeah, Gas Patch make really nice stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I put one of the guns on my Caproni.
look at this. Now you got to cut it, and you got to remove it and be safe about it. But everything's in. You got the drilled out ends. This one here, there's a hollow end, but you got to glue it on, so there's a little bit more assembly. You know.
How much for something for a gas patch gun like that?
I think these were like $14-15 on a B&A. I ordered these.
Worth it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Right. Like if you put so much into it, like to have that.
I remember as a kid, the Airfix Sunderland was a Series 8 Airfix, and it was $8, and I couldn't afford it. Those were the days. Now a little aftermarket.
Well, I remember the Airfix Henkel 111.
Yeah.
Was like $3, like $2.99.
Yeah.
Well, I can't afford that.
I can't afford it. Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway. So that's that. Yeah. So we'll just the gun to put, but the model itself is pretty much done. You can see the tracks in the back are.
That looks great.
Are kind of fixed in place.
Now you're just going to airbrush to get the glossy spots off, right? Are you?
If there's any.
Yeah.
If there's
any. Now on that.
No, I won't coat the whole thing.
Right.
Like I would just go back and spot fix if there's anything.
What would you use for the flat?
Like a simple acrylic, like the Lucky Varnish.
Yeah, I find if you've got spots like that you want to touch up that's gloss, a paintbrush is more than sufficient, especially on armor. Like aircraft, maybe not, but armor, just why break out the airbrush? And then I find if you airbrush, like that model's got the right tone and texture. If you airbrush flat over the whole thing, I think it dilutes your weathering.
Well, it does, and then this one I gotta be really careful because because of the melting snow, it's glossy on the kind of like there's a little bit of, so if I spray everything, I lose that.
Right.
But I don't like the less product. Like you got to do it on an aircraft. Like you got to put a bit of gloss on an aircraft for the decals, but for decals.
Agreed.
Decals
so that's all. I think you can get away with it, and without destroying your weathering. Great.
Yeah. So that's it. So we'll figure out the next project's going to be. Maybe the Tiger, maybe the Bobcat, maybe both. I don't know.
Yep. So I'm probably going to do a piece on a Dyna, a T46 Dyna. So watch for that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
So that kind of wraps it up for this episode of Garage Studio Maulers. Thanks, Harvey, for partaking. Robert, always couldn't do it without you.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Take
Cheers.
care.